Gentlemen, welcome back to episode 21 of the Halftime Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Reese Kinder, and today we've got a loaded show for you. Week 3 of college football was absolute chaos. The AP poll, it's a dumpster fire already, and NFL just gave us another dose of madness in week 2. But today on the show, we're recapping Georgia versus Tennessee and some other huge matchups this past weekend. Also, we're going to be previewing week 4 of college football, what you guys need to know for your picks. Also, my updated picks record. Still not proud of it, but we'll see if I can improve next week. And also, we're going to hit NFL Week 2 recap before jumping into a spicy Week 3 preview. But let's not waste time. Buckle in, and let's kick off. Hello, everyone, and welcome back into the show. Great week last week, a great episode, and also some great sports. Just loved last week. Just a stellar week in general, just for sports. College football is exciting this past weekend, so is NFL. But let's get right into it with some college football week 3 recap. Now let's get started in the SEC. Georgia versus Tennessee was the first game we saw on Saturday. Well, excuse me. But I was at Auburn in South Alabama. That was a decent game. But yeah, first game we saw was Georgia and Tennessee. Georgia took care of business again. Gunnar Stockton, he was in full command, threw some pretty good passes, showing poise in that game. Finished with 285 yards and 3 touchdowns. But the story here is Joey Aguilar looked shaky a little bit at times. He threw 1 interception, had some bad reads, and Tennessee just looked, flat out. They didn't look that bad, but I will say, it was bad towards the end for Tennessee. But this game was really good. I really didn't expect it to be that high scoring because, we saw a Georgia team that struggled against Austin Peay last week. Struggled to even score points against Austin Peay. But then you saw that Tennessee was able to come in there and score, or Tennessee was able to score a bunch at home, 41 points actually. And this Tennessee team still looked very good. It was a solid showing from the Vols. It could have been even better. If Max Gilbert, that was the story too. It came down to a field goal with 3 seconds, I believe, left, and Max Gilbert missed it. That would have made it to where Tennessee would have won, wouldn't have to worry about overtime. But we saw Gunnar Stockton and Georgia just take over in that overtime, and Georgia was able to get the win 44-41. And like I said, Max Gilbert really hurts, if you're a kicker too. Obviously he's a freshman, gonna make mistakes like that, but yeah, Max Gilbert missed that game-winning kick, and it really hurts. But yeah, going back to the game though, it was a really solid showing from both teams, Tennessee and Georgia. This was like one of those shootouts we've seen between 2015 Baylor teams, where Baylor beat TCU that 1 year 56-52, and it was really high scoring. That's kind of what we saw on Saturday against Georgia, for Georgia and Tennessee. That was just back and forth scoring. And Gunnar Stockton and Joey Aguilar threw some outstanding passes in that game. That was great showing. And first, I want to get to Gunnar Stockton. Like I said, he was able to efficiently distribute the ball to his receivers, and also he was able to run the ball a little bit too. But Tennessee's defense, I expected a lot better out of Tennessee's defense in this game because, all I heard going into it last week was Tennessee's defense is going to be able to just stop Gunnar Stockton. That's why I picked Tennessee. I was like, I think the defense has the edge in this one. I think Gunnar Stockton's going to be in trouble, not going to be able to find his receivers downfield, and that was not the case. Gunnar Stockton was able to find every man downfield, it seemed like, and Georgia just, when you thought they were out of it, they were right back in it, and Georgia was able to prevail, like I said, 44-41, and Gunnar Stockton looks solid, like I said, through 2 touchdown passes, not 3, threw 2 touchdown passes in that game, and looked outstanding. And then Gunnar Stockton just was able to sort of run the ball, but when you needed him to, he could pick up a few yards there, here and there. But yeah, Georgia's side of things looked really good, except I will say one thing is like the defense for Georgia really didn't impress me. Um, because, you know, going into the week, I heard like Georgia's defense can be able to like stop Joey Aguilar because Joey Aguilar, this was the key headline too, is was he going to be able to limit those mistakes that he did at App State when he was there? Because against App State, he would throw some crazy passes. I watched his highlight tape. He would throw some ones in like triple coverage and stuff, and it would not be pretty. I mean, like he would throw a lot of interceptions, but Joey Aguilar looked solid in this game, and it was definitely Georgia's defense. I mean, like even Kirby said after the game, he's like, "We didn't deserve to win this game because we just didn't play good." And I mean, obviously, as a coach, you're not gonna say like you shouldn't say that. I mean, you obviously want to win, and you obviously think you should have won. But you saw there that Kirby was obviously not happy with the performance Georgia put up in that game. But Georgia still came out with the win. And Georgia's defense, like I said, I mean, they did not look pretty at all. And that's something, that's the good news is they have a bye week this week before they play Alabama at home. And I still stand by they'll probably beat Alabama. I mean, Alabama did not look pretty against Wisconsin. I think Georgia will at least score 30 points against Alabama this year. It will be a pretty solid showing from their offense, but their defense is what really worries me. Is like, can their defense stop the pass game from most of these offenses? Because they got two games notable in the next 4 weeks. They have Alabama at home, and then they go to Auburn week 6. Those two games are very notable on their schedule because they could lose both of those games, and that would really hurt their ranking. But so far, Georgia's offense is what looked really good in that game against Tennessee. And then going to the Tennessee side of things, Joey Aguilar, looked, in my opinion, looked outstanding. I think there was a few reads here and there that he didn't quite look good throwing. There was maybe in the third quarter, like early in the third quarter. But after that, I mean, he was like the rest of the game. If you look at the rest of the game, besides that middle part of the third quarter, Joey Aguilar was settled in. He was finding his open receivers. I mean, he threw some crazy passes. I mean, I would have thought those would have been intercepted because I even said the one pass late in it was the very last play of the third quarter, that touchdown pass caught it was I believe a 70-something yard touchdown pass. But that ball I thought was going to be intercepted. I was like, that's intercepted right there. And then no. I mean, dude comes down with the 50-50 ball and is able to score, and Tennessee gets the lead even further. And that was crazy to me because I really thought that that Joey Aguilar was going to look, just not as good as a lot of people were hyping him up to be. I was like, Syracuse, wasn't a tough opponent. I think Tennessee just got by with that one. Just being able to get through that really helped Tennessee. And then I was like, they played a cupcake right there week 2 against East Tennessee State and gave up 17 points, and they still scored 72, but that's a cupcake team. But Joey Aguilar, like I said, really looked solid, looked poised out there against Georgia, and it was against a tough Georgia defense. I mean, Georgia, every year, everybody's like, Georgia doesn't have this good of a defense. Georgia's always been a defensive-minded team. I mean, Georgia, that's what Kirby does. Kirby Smart has a defensive-minded team that wants to, hold you to that. One year Georgia held everybody like the first 4 games or 5 games to like, I think it was 10 points. Like that's the most they held anybody. And then Auburn was the ones to get them out of that and end up scoring 20 on them. But that was the most they got scored on most of the season. And then, like I said, I mean, Georgia's defense just didn't look good in this game. But both quarterbacks looked stellar in this matchup between Georgia and Tennessee. Now, the big question is moving forward for Tennessee, does this big loss for the Vols, is it just a blemish or is it a potential SEC like decider? Does this decide if Tennessee cannot still make the SEC championship? Because now they've got to win out and hope Georgia like slips a little bit, hopes they lose a game or two, and maybe Tennessee can lose a game here soon against maybe like Alabama or Oklahoma or something like that. But in my opinion, I don't think this necessarily hurts Tennessee in a case, because if you look at it, Tennessee really, like I said, the offense looked great. I just think when when you go to you're going to Alabama. I think Oklahoma comes to you. Other than that, I really don't see a game on their schedule that's going to be close. And that, in my opinion, right there, that shows me that Tennessee will probably be better than a lot of people think. And I think what it really comes down to is Joey Aguilar's performance. I mean, he's going to have a game or two where he's really bad, or not really bad, but where he's bad. But what I saw on Saturday makes me think now this Tennessee team is legit and they're ready for the college football playoff. Because Josh Heupel, I mean, has done a great job at developing Aguilar. And also, I mean, if you look at it too, you know what this tells me is that Nico never was meant to work under the Tennessee system because Nico, you saw those games last year, those big games, just wasn't able to get it done. Even against Georgia, Nico came in there. Tennessee was highly ranked. Everybody's like, Tennessee's going to beat the brakes off Georgia. This is just going to be a blowout. And Georgia blew them out and exposed a lot of things. Because you saw against Georgia last year, a lot of miscues. Lots of miscues with Nico Imaliava at quarterback. But this year with Joey Aguilar, not as much miscues. The O-line did great in that game. The defense for Tennessee showed up when it had to. Like I said, Joey Aguilar showed up. The run game was to an extent it was good. But if you look at this game and you go back and you're like, at the start of the season, you're predicting Tennessee's schedule, you're like, that's a loss. Like, I mean, they're not even gonna compete in that game. Georgia's gonna blow them out the water. That wasn't the case on Saturday. I mean, Tennessee absolutely showed me that they are ready to compete in the SEC against a tough Georgia team who I think, in my opinion now, I'm changing my prediction. I had Georgia losing 3 games because I didn't know about Gunnar Stockton. I think this Georgia team loses maybe 2. Maybe 2. They might go undefeated. They possibly could go undefeated. They're really solid. The only thing that doesn't click with them is the defense. Once the defense gets solid, this Georgia team's a scary Georgia team. But I do think Tennessee will move on from that loss and go get a win next week. I'm not sure they play next week, but I'm sure they'll be able to figure out some things. But moving on now to the next game of our weekend that really was surprising, a shootout as well. Notre Dame and Texas A&M. This game was a stellar matchup. I mean, 41-40, Texas A&M gets the victory in South Bend. They go up to South Bend and show out. And I just want to say first, like, I mean, if you look at it, you can see what's his name? Freaking Marcel Reed just had a game. Man had a day. And Marcel Reed 360 yards. The completions were not there. I mean, they were all right. 17 for 37, 2 TDs. That's not a bad stat line for Marcel Reed. I would like to see the completions get up a little bit more, but I mean, Marcel Reed showed flashes with his legs, his arm. He was just able to distribute the ball downfield like I never thought before. And that's like one thing I want to start with too is like Texas A&M, like going into the season, I really thought like Texas A&M would be able to potentially, I thought this game was going to be a blowout, but I thought A&M was going to come in there at least score like 2 or 3 touchdowns. This game was, I mean, solid. Like Marcel Reed, like I said, he was throwing the ball downfield like in double coverage and, I mean, just throwing some crazy passes. But it was outstanding. The game really was. I mean, Marcel Reed, like I said, threw for 360 yards, and this A&M team is really scared. I mean, last year we saw A&M was 7-1 at one point playing LSU, and they got a big win, went 8-1, and then after that they just fell apart completely. And you saw that just kind of collapsed because they had the loss to Auburn, they had the loss to Texas at the end of the year. I'm not sure who else they lost to, but yeah, A&M just didn't look good at the end of the year last year. But this A&M team, if they stay consistent throughout the year, I mean, I think college football playoffs. Like, I mean, the defense didn't look that good, but I think that's something you can adjust because your next toughest game is at home against Auburn. And if I'm A&M, I'm like, we get home field advantage against an Auburn team who's good, but we're looking for revenge from last year, and we're going to come in there and run up the score if we have to. I mean, like, I'm sure Mike Elko would do something like that. And A&M is, like I said, very scary. Marcel Reed looked stellar in that game against Notre Dame, but yeah, A&M gets the win, 41-40. But now going to go on the Notre Dame side of things. Cohen Carr or CJ Carr, no, my bad. CJ Carr had a couple, actually had a pretty decent game, but um, that really sucks, that drop at the on the 2-point conversion towards the end of the game, because I mean, if he didn't drop that, that would have been Notre Dame would have won. Like, I mean, that would have won Notre Dame the game easily. And it really sucks too, because Notre Dame, that's one reason why, this is the only reason why I'm going to say the AP poll did good this week, is because of the fact that, they kept Notre Dame in the rankings. And I get that. Like, everybody's mad. They're like, why is Notre Dame still in the rankings? But you got to look at this too. Notre Dame's played 2 top 10 opponents in 3 weeks. They had a bye week last week. They played A&M this past weekend. And then they played Miami the first weekend of the season. Lost by 3 to Miami and lost by 1 to Texas A&M. And I mean, if you look back at those games, CJ Carr had stellar performances. 293 yards, 20 for 32, 1 touchdown pass against A&M. And I mean, it wasn't a bad game for CJ Carr. And this freshman, I mean, he's going to get the learning experience. He's going to continue to get games under his belt. I mean, I will say they do have a tough game against Arkansas week 4. Or not this week, week 5. Week 5, they have a tough game against Arkansas. And then they also play USC later on in the year, and USC is now ranked. But if Notre Dame is to win out, I don't know if they'll make the college football playoff due to the fact that their schedule is fairly easy. And honestly, like I said, now the questions start flying. What's next for them? Well, I mean, they have Louisville, I believe, next week. No, this upcoming week. No, they have Purdue. They have Purdue this upcoming week. Yeah, Purdue this upcoming week. And then if they lose that, I mean, the season's already gone. Like, I will say they will be eliminated if they lose that, but I don't think they'll lose to Purdue. I think Marcus Freeman, like it says, he's going to take over a larger role with the defensive side of things. And I mean, if you look at it last year, Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois and still made the college football playoff. So if Notre Dame can settle themselves in a little bit and get Carr to play better in those bigger moments, then I think Notre Dame's at that point to where, like, okay, we're back in contention. What can we do to continue this winning way? And how can we get right back into the playoff hunt, make the playoffs, and have a game possibly in South Bend? But yeah, I do think this Notre Dame team will improve over the next few weeks, but it's definitely going to start with the defense working some things out, because I think the offense, in my opinion, is really solid. And I think CJ Carr did a great job on Saturday night against the Aggies, but just wasn't able to come out with the win. And then now going to move on from the Notre Dame and Texas A&M game. Now we're going to move on to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, I mean, I'm really proud of Georgia Tech beating Clemson. I told you guys this. I was like, I think Georgia Tech's going to come in here and beat Clemson, or I think they're going to go home and beat Clemson, and it's not going to be a shocker to anybody. It really wasn't a shocker to me. And yeah, I mean, I'm ready to say it. I mean, Georgia Tech, in my opinion, might be a legit ACC title contender. And according to the odds on FanDuel, I looked, and it's plus 360. Georgia Tech is an ACC title contender, and they're second place. They're over Florida State and SMU, and right behind Miami, just barely behind Miami for the ACC title prediction so far. And yeah, I mean, I really wasn't surprised. And the thing is, going on Georgia Tech's side of things first, like, if you look at this, like, really, Haynes King destroyed, like, if you're a Clemson fan, Haynes King destroyed your entire team. I mean, he ran all over your entire team, and he was able to throw the ball too. Brent Key, congratulations. I mean, he had a perfect game plan executed against that Clemson team. Georgia Tech, started off the game 3-0, got the fumble recovery 10-0, got another field goal 13-0. Clemson finally gets on the board before halftime with Kate Klubnik's touchdown. And then Clemson takes the lead in the second half early on, and then Georgia Tech after that just takes the lead and never looks back. I mean, Georgia Tech, in my opinion, this is 2 years now that they've beaten teams that are higher caliber in the ACC and been able to, show that they are capable of playing with the big tier opponents. Also, this is a terrible stat for Clemson. Clemson since 2021 has lost 8 unranked games. Before 2020, Clemson only lost 2 unranked games in the ACC and to anybody in general. So Clemson since 2021 has been horrible against unranked teams. And Georgia Tech, I mean, I'm really happy for Brent Key and Georgia Tech. And I think, like I said, their schedule's very favorable down the stretch that they probably will win 10 games. I even said before the season started, I was like, if Georgia Tech gets past Clemson week 3, after that, they really don't have a game that I think they'll lose. I think last year we saw Georgia Tech, they went 6-6, or they went 7-5, lost in the Birmingham Bowl, went 7-6. But last year we saw them lose those games that, like to an NC State team they beat NC State actually. Actually, they lost to Duke, who's like 5-0, but Duke wasn't as good last year. They lost to, I believe, North Carolina in overtime or something. So, I mean, if you look at that, last year Georgia Tech should have been a 9-win team. They lost to Georgia in 8 overtimes in a classic. I mean, if you win those games last year, you're a 10-win team and you're in the college football playoffs. So, in my opinion, if Georgia Tech's able to get it done against those teams that they lost to last year, I think Georgia Tech will most certainly be in the ACC title come December. I think Georgia Tech is a legit team, and I even see them beating Georgia in Atlanta. I mean, I know I just talked about Georgia being so good against Tennessee, but this Georgia Tech team, I mean, they use the time of possession. They keep the ball for about 10 minutes, and they're just running all over you. I mean, Jamal Haynes and Haynes King both run just all over the place. And Haynes King was injured in this game against Clemson and still was able to pick up at least over 100 rushing yards in this game. And he even threw for 207 passing yards. So, I mean, like I said, Georgia Tech, still a long ways to go. This weekend they play Temple at home. Should win that game. That'd be a 4-0 start for them. It'd be really exciting to see what they could do with that. But yeah, Georgia Tech upsets Clemson in Atlanta on Saturday. But yeah, gonna like move on now to the Clemson side of things. And I'm not shocked that Clemson is this bad. And I think it comes down to Klubnik's decision making. Like, if you look at Kate Klubnik's decision making, some of the decisions he made on Saturday, like, were really piss poor. I mean, he found some receivers, but like, if you look at that, Klubnik was not making the best decisions. And I mean, even Dabo Swinney will tell you that. Like, he even said he's not worried, but I mean, I would be worried right now if you're 1-2 and you're Clemson. You're supposed to be a national championship team, because I had Clemson at the start of the season going 12-0. I had them going 12-0 before they looked like crap against LSU and before they looked like crap against Troy. And that's been a trend for 3 weeks now. Clemson barely any production on offense. This NFL defense that I've heard about has been mediocre to an extent. And Clemson right now should be 0-3. They should be 0-3. They're really lucky they're not, because I mean they're already out of the rankings. I don't know what would happen to Dabo if they were 0-3. But I mean, Cade Klubnik, like I said, it comes down to decision making because there was that one time early on in the game, like I said, when Georgia Tech got 10, he was holding the ball, like literally the ball hanging off, and some dude just like hits him and it falls and it's a fumble. I mean, you got to hold the ball like tighter than that because I know darn well the coaches are saying like hold the ball like a quarterback would, where you grip it really tight to your arm, and you don't let go. But I mean, like I said, Cade Klubnik's decision making not the best at all in that game, not the best at all this season so far. And this is a guy that we had in the Heisman race. Like, I mean, it's just not nothing's adding up right now. And I think it comes to coaching and decision making for Cade Klubnik. But yeah, talking about his draft stock too. I mean, it's plummeting. He looks almost hesitant. He's very inaccurate. Yeah, he looks overwhelmed. And I feel like now the NFL scouts will start to raise those red flags and be like, is this really a guy we want um, to see in the draft possibly? Or any teams would be like, is this a guy we want to see? Because I can name a bunch of group of five quarterbacks better than Cade Klubnik. I mean, like that's it. Right, that performance against Georgia Tech was very piss poor, and it very disappointing for the Tigers. But Georgia Tech does get the win, 24-21 on a walk-off field goal. And yeah, Brent Key and the Yellow Jackets are going to continue to roll hopefully the next few weeks, and yeah, we'll be looking out for them in conference championship week in a few weeks, like a month or two, I guess you could say. But gonna move on now to another top story, another team that you know wasn't supposed to win, but I predicted to win, and that's Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt, you know, let's say it here. I know you guys don't want to say it because it really hurts a lot of people's feelings that this could be true. Vandy might be for real. I'm gonna say it. Vandy might be for real. They went into Columbia and beat South Carolina 31-7. 31-7. And that's, I know everybody's like, well, Lenore Sellers gets injured in the second quarter. That wouldn't have done anything. I watched that game from start to finish. Vanderbilt was off the bat. I mean, they looked like they were there to win. Like, I mean, Clark Lee had that game plan perfectly executed for Vanderbilt to win. And even when like Lenore Sellers was in the game, Vanderbilt was winning 14-7. Like I don't think South Carolina would have even came back with Lenore Sellers in the game. And I mean, if you looked at it, South Carolina's offense was terrible on Saturday night in Columbia. I mean, that was horrible. Even with Sellers in the game, Sellers could not find an open man at all. Like, I mean, Vanderbilt's defense, too. That's one thing that I said last week. I was like, I think Vanderbilt's defense is going to be able to do something that most teams can't, and it's going to be able to stop South Carolina's run game, stop the pass game, and they did. Vanderbilt's defense this year is one of the most underrated defenses, I think, in my opinion, when it comes to SEC defenses. Because if you've looked at most of the SEC defenses lately, they've been helter-skelter. They show up one week, they don't the next week. Vanderbilt has shown up all 3 weeks. They have been there all 3 weeks. They went to Blacksburg and came back in the fourth quarter alone. They scored literally, I believe, 26 unanswered points in the fourth quarter alone in that game in Blacksburg. So anybody that wants to tell me Vanderbilt's not for real, go back and watch the tape. Go back and watch Diego Pavia destroy South Carolina's defense. And I know, oh, well, South Carolina doesn't have a good secondary. South Carolina's defensive line's not as good as last year. The excuses have to stop. Vanderbilt is a good football team. Now, will they make the college football playoff? Probably not. Will they win 9 games? Maybe. Right now, my prediction is they win 9 games. And they're a legit contender for the SEC title. I mean, I haven't seen a team besides Vanderbilt that has shown me anything to think that they're going to make the SEC title. Maybe Oklahoma. If Oklahoma beats Auburn this weekend, then I could say Oklahoma. If Auburn beats Oklahoma, I think I could say Auburn. But until that happens, right now Vanderbilt football is on top of the world. I mean, like their schedule too is fairly simple. They have their four toughest games this season. They got through one of them. Their other four toughest games are Alabama away, um, Missouri at home, Texas away, LSU at home, and Auburn at home. Now, I think they will win three, maybe four of those games. And I'll tell you who they are. I think they will beat Alabama. I think they will beat Texas. I don't think they'll beat LSU. I think they'll beat Missouri. I think they might beat Auburn. I think Vanderbilt this year could be in for a 9 to 10 win season. Then that would be the first time, the last time Vanderbilt got a 9 win regular season was 1915. That was like a long time ago. And Vanderbilt, in my opinion, like I said, is back. Like Vanderbilt now when I say back to a certain extent, like I know everybody was gonna like be like jumping all over. They're gonna be like, oh well, you think Vanderbilt's so good? They're gonna like be good for years. I don't think that. I think next year they probably will be like 5-7, maybe 6-6. But right now, Vanderbilt, in my opinion, is for real. They have the swagger, right now, and I mean it just I think Vanderbilt really has something going for them the next few weeks. And definitely, like I said, last year it was when the Bama game happened that everybody got on board, but now it's early in the year this time. And I'm really excited to see what this Vanderbilt team can do. But yeah, but that's just my opinion on it. And moving to the South Carolina side of things, you know, I expected better. I expected better from South Carolina. I really did. I thought the talk was just like talking about how, South Carolina hasn't done anything for 2 weeks. They've looked terrible. Offensive wise, I was like, they're going to go in there. They're going to look good. They might win. And I was like, Lenore Sellers going to look really good. He's going to look like a Heisman candidate again. But no. Like I said, they just laid an egg. I mean, absolutely laid an egg. Doty, their backup quarterback, did all right, but still turned the ball over a bunch of times. And then Lenore Sellers' injury, I mean, that's brutal. I don't know how long he's out, but South Carolina's offense, like I said, was good, and then it just fell apart when he came out of the game. But I don't think that has anything to do with the loss. I still think they would have lost that game even if he didn't get injured. Um, but yeah, I do think that South Carolina down the stretch will be worse than I anticipated. I had them winning 10 games this year, but now I'm going to have to change that to maybe 7. I really think they'll be um, a lot worse than people think. Now they might knock off a team they're not supposed to, but I just don't see South Carolina being that good this year. I really don't. The Vanderbilt thing like really just showed that they were not ready to perform in the SEC level, and Vanderbilt just came firing on all cylinders and was really bad. But yeah, gonna do it for Vanderbilt and South Carolina matchup. Big matchup there, SEC play. Vanderbilt's one. Vanderbilt see now, and yeah, definitely something to look out for sure. But that will do it for like week 3 recap. A lot of things happened in week 3. Lots and lots of things. Very very exciting week, but week 4 should be more exciting, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But gonna move on now to the AP poll, and I got a few things to say about the AP poll. It's trash. Garbage. Let's crumble up that paper, throw it in the trash. I mean, it's just ugly. And let's just talk about the elephant in the room right now. It's Texas. I mean, Texas still a top 10 team? Really? Didn't look good against UTEP. Didn't look good against San Jose State. and didn't look good against Ohio State. It's not adding up. A top 10 team would win by 50 against UTEP and San Jose State and look pretty reasonable against Ohio State team who's ranked number 1 in the country. That's what a top 10 team would do. But I think we've gotten to the point to where these media writers now don't watch the game. Like, they literally don't watch the games at all. It's to a point to where, like, I hate to say it. I mean, I don't think there should be an AP poll. I think you should just wait till the College Football Playoff Committee comes out with their poll. Their own writers can have their own rankings, but other than that, no ranking, nothing. It's just record and play. I mean, that's all it is. I know it ruins some of the game, but I really don't think the AP poll is necessary anymore. Or if you're going to do the AP poll, get some guys like Josh Pate or Crane and Company to do it the AP poll, because they're better writers than most. I mean, they're better writers than most. And I think the Texas thing really frustrates me too, because like there could be other teams that are like way lower in the AP poll that should deserve the spot Texas is in. Like if you look at the 8 spot all the way to probably Alabama, it's really bad. Because I looked at it and it's like, if you look at it, Texas is 8. They have not proved anything. Illinois is 9. They have not proved anything either. They beat a Duke team who's now 1-2. Number 10, I believe, is trying to think who number 10 is. I don't really know right now what number 10 is. They're whoever they are. And then number 11's fine. Oklahoma's fine. I like that. Not bad. But I like freaking 13. Like Ole Miss is terrible. In my opinion, I really think they're overrated. Alabama is still very overrated to me. I know they beat Wisconsin. Wisconsin is Wisconsin. They are terrible. Like, I mean, they're not that good. I think like it's just names now that get you in the AP poll, and I think that's got to stop. Like it really does. But yeah, I really don't like the AP poll this week. But I do like the fact that Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt are ranked, but they should be ranked a lot higher than that. But we'll see. We'll see where they go after week 4. And yeah, I mean, the AP put teams like I said, Ole Miss in there. It's enough with the brand bias, I think, and let's just start ranking based off performance. I think the performance thing would be a great idea if you're going to rank. But yeah, that's all I had to really say about the AP poll. It was not good this week. Number 1, obviously, still Ohio State. And everybody else kind of stayed the same, except Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt came in the rankings, and then Clemson fell out. But yeah, really disappointed in the AP writers this week, but hopefully they can make up for it next week. But now I'm going to move on to week 4 college football preview. I know you guys wanted to talk about that. You guys wanted to hear some of my picks. And guys, it's bad. It's terrible. I'm 9-10 in picks right now. And we're gonna fix it this week. Yeah, we're gonna fix it this week. We're gonna get back on the winning side of things here, and we're gonna start by highlighting Miami and Florida. And Miami and Florida, actually, really big game. I mean, this is game day, but to a standpoint, like, why is it game day? Why is it game day? I mean, there's other big games like Oklahoma and Auburn. I know it's at Oklahoma, so can't do it there. Utah and Texas Tech's a good example. That could be game day. Illinois and Indiana could have been game day. There could have been anybody do game day. But yeah, I'm really not happy with the way they did game day this week. But yeah, um, I'm gonna get started here with the picks. But Lagway looked horrible against LSU last week. Through 5 picks, 1 touchdown pass. And can Miami's front force more turnovers this week? I think yes. I do think Miami will be able to get the job done. I think this will be an easy win for Miami. Florida, just to me, I mean, Napier's probably going to lose his job. Florida's probably going to go back down to the dumps where they were a few years ago. But yeah, I have Miami winning this game big time against Lagway and the Gators. Because I mean, that in my opinion, that was like the easiest pick on here. And then gonna go to our 11 a.m. kickoff time game. Utah versus Texas Tech. At Utah. I think Utah's defense makes life miserable for Tech. But I do think Texas Tech will be able to score a little bit, but I still think Utah's going to win by 10 in this one. So give me the Utes to win at home against a pretty solid Texas Tech team. Actually, wait, no. Change that. I'm going to go with Texas Tech in this one. I'm going to go with Texas Tech by 10 because I think Texas Tech's solid, but I do think Devin Dampier is going to be able to get things done a little bit against Texas Tech, but just not enough to beat the Red Raiders. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Red Raiders in this one. And then looking at the game of, I think, the weekend. This has got to be the game of the weekend. Auburn at Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold's returned to Norman. Auburn's got fire right now, but the defense does not look good. And it all comes down to, is Auburn going to be able to pass the ball a lot more? Auburn beat a good Baylor team, 38-24, 2-touchdown game. But will Auburn be able to pass the ball a lot more than they did against South Alabama and Ball State? And will the defense be able to stop John Mateer and Oklahoma's offense from scoring? Because I think John Mateer might be able to total for about 300 yards in this game if the Auburn defense looks as bad as they had the past few weeks. But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to go, even though I'm an Auburn fan, I'm going to go with Oklahoma here, but I'm going to say Oklahoma wins in a close one. But don't be surprised if Auburn wins this game because I think Jackson Arnold might be more ready than a lot of people think in this game. But we'll see on Saturday. But yeah, I got Oklahoma in this 2:30 matchup. And yeah, I'll be really interested to see. And then going to Nebraska and Michigan. That's our next game we are picking, Nebraska and Michigan. This is Dylan Raio's moment. It's got to be. I mean, Nebraska's 3-0. If Nebraska has any shot at winning, I think Dylan Raiola's got to be more efficient. I think you got to be able to get the ball to your receivers. No mistakes in this game. The defense got to be on point. And I think Nebraska can win this game. It's at home. I really do think they can win this game. Michigan's not as good as they've been in the past. I think Nebraska's going to win this game at home, and they will be ranked next week. I do think Nebraska will get a huge win, but I'm going to say it will be close, but it will be a big win. But yeah, I definitely think Dylan Raiola will do good in this game against Michigan because Michigan's secondary to me is not as good as they've been in the past, and yeah. I'm going to take the Cornhuskers in a Big Ten showdown in Week 4 of the college football season. And then one of our other big picks for the weekend. This is just one of the big games we have. If you look on our Instagram page, I have all the picks that are lined up, and I'm doing like 3 or 4 in this game. So or in the episode. So yeah, I'm just going to highlight the 3 or 4 biggest games, but. We're going to go right to Illinois and Indiana. This is a big game for both of these Big Ten teams. Illinois trying to prove that they want to be a Big Ten title contender. Indiana also the same. But the real question is, can Luke Altmaier throw against a tough Indiana secondary? I mean, Indiana secondary the past few weeks has been really solid. Also coming in the season, they looked really solid. Um, and I do think that this game will be low scoring. I think it will be lot less, lot less, scoring overall in the game, but I think it'll be less scoring here. And I do think Illinois will lose this game, or will win this game. Actually, I think Illinois will win this game, but it will be close. I think Fernando Mendoza is going to be able to get tested a little bit, but I think he's ready. And I think since Indiana's played few cupcakes so far, I think he's got a little bit of experience under his belt, and I think he'll be able to show out against Illinois. But I don't think Kirk Cignetti and the Hoosiers get the win. But I'll say it'll be close and very low scoring. But I'm going to go with the Fighting Illini here in this game in Week 4. But yeah, that's all my picks for this week. But I will be posting an updated pick record. Hopefully this week, the 9 games we pick. Hopefully this week, I'm at least somewhat good. I would hope that I'm somewhat good. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens in Week 4, and it should be a fun week. Possibly some more chaos. We'll see. But gonna move on now to our next segment, which is NFL Week 2 recap. Um, had a lot of questions going into Week 2, a lot of looming questions, a lot of crazy things that happened in Week 2 as well. But yes, first major thing of Week 2 is the Chiefs. Chiefs lose their second game, actually their first 0-2 start since 2014. And I'm not going that far, but they might be done. But they're not the invincible Chiefs we usually see that are like 15-2. The wide receiver room definitely a real concern. Travis Kelce, I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't know what you're doing. Dropped a wide open ball yesterday against yesterday. Not yesterday. Sunday against the Eagles, and it led to an interception in the red zone. I mean, that could have led to points too. But I'm not going to go as far to say they're done in 2025, but they definitely look like there's a possibility they won't make the playoffs and the dynasty could be over. Which, I mean, I could have told you this was bound to happen. The Chiefs have never had any real weapons on their team, but I will, like, Mahomes has turned some of those guys into weapons. But Mahomes, don't get me wrong, he's a good quarterback, but I just don't think he'll be able to get the ball to his receivers that are really non-existent. Like, he doesn't have any star wide receivers because Xavier Worthy was out last week, and Rashee Rice is also out. But really, those two, Rashee Rice is washed in my opinion, and Xavier Worthy is not as good as a lot of people think. But yeah, I don't think the Chiefs are done yet. But if they lose to the Giants on Sunday Night Football in Week 3, then I think for sure that could be where I start to lean more towards saying yes, that's a real possibility. But going to our next headline is Bryce Young. Bryce Young, looked way better in Week 2 than he did in Week 1. I know a lot of people say that he didn't because the turnovers in the first quarter. I watched that game. Really wasn't a bad showing from Bryce Young. Was able to come back in the fourth quarter after being down 27-3. Was able to come back in the fourth quarter and almost win the game. It was 4th and 16, but got sacked at the very end of the game. But Bryce Young threw for his career high 328 yards and had 3 TDs and 1 interception and 1 fumble loss. But I mean, really, if you look at this Panthers team, I really do think that it's not over for them. I know people are like, they suck, they're terrible. I don't think it's over yet. I really am starting to think that they might turn things around possibly and not make the playoffs, but they might win 7 to 8 games to get them close enough to that position. But if Bryce Young plays better throughout the whole entire game next week against Atlanta, I think the Panthers will win that game, possibly maybe get a little bit of a winning streak going. But yeah, nice bounce back game from Bryce Young. to have a career high 328 yards, and it was a really impressive game from him in that second half and part of the first half. And then sad news coming out of Cincinnati is Joe Burrow out for 3 months. You know, that puts him a return time. Adam Schefter said possibly December, but no really estimated return. That's if he has a healthy rehab, but without a healthy rehab, it might be out for season. And Cincinnati's season might be toast now. You hate to see it. I mean, Joe Burrow's been injured at least three seasons now in the NFL, and you really hate to see that it happens to a guy like Joe Burrow. But yeah, I mean, it just, I guess he's just really injury prone. I mean, even you saw LSU, he was injury prone sometimes, had hip problems, leg problems. But yeah, I really think now, what if you're Cincinnati, what are you doing here? Are you going to go out and get another quarterback? Because I don't know how much longer Burrow's got in him. He's already had a torn ACL. I believe he tore his UCL in his elbow, and now the foot, the turf toe. So I really don't know what's going to happen with the Bengals, but Jake Browning will take over as the starting quarterback. Actually played pretty solid and got the Bengals the win against the Jaguars on Sunday. So yeah, if the Bengals can continue with him, then I think there's a possibility they can maybe sneak in the playoffs and get Burrow back by January possibly, but we'll see. But yeah, bad news out of Cincinnati with Burrow possibly being done for the rest of the season. And going to our next headline is the Colts. Folks, this might be a magical start, but this is crazy. I mean, the Colts have not punted, they have not turned the ball over, and Danny Dimes is throwing dimes. I mean, this is very surprising to me. I thought the Colts were going to be, mediocre, 7-10, 8-9, but no, 2-0 start for the Colts here, and it just really shows that they might be a legit team in the South, because right now they are leading the South currently. Jaguars in second place, and then the Texans and Titans are both in last after the Texans dropped Monday Night Football last night against the Buccaneers. But yeah, I mean, so far the Colts have looked magical. Strader with that field goal, the second try after leverage got them closer. But yeah, definitely something to look at. Daniel Jones is just playing outstanding football. No turnovers yet for this Colts team. And I hope to see them keep it up. Next week they got the Titans, so I think they'll get a win there. Actually, their next 5 games, they have really easy opponents, so they could possibly start 5 or they could possibly start 7-0 or something, which would be crazy, especially if you're a Colts fan. Really excited to see what the Colts can do down the stretch. And then our last NFL Week 2 recap headline. And yes, I know I said it last week. The Chargers are legit AFC Championship contenders if they stay healthy. The Chargers, I mean, literally last night against the Raiders looked outstanding. Against the Chiefs Friday in Brazil 2 weeks ago looked outstanding. I do think the Chargers are legit AFC Championship contenders with Amarian Hampton at running back, along with Najee Harris, and then you got Keenan Allen at receiver. You also got Quentin Johnston at receiver, and then Justin Herbert just looks outstanding right now. Just been able to play solid football. Justin Herbert has, and we haven't really seen this from him at all in his career. And I definitely think Justin Herbert's one that could possibly be in the MVP race sometime soon. And yeah, I think this Chargers team is an AFC Championship contender if they stay healthy, like I said. But the defense looks solid, and the offense is just looking great. So yeah, I really do think that the Chargers have a legit shot to make it to the championship or the Super Bowl possibly if they continue everything that they've been doing. But yeah, week two is a blast. But I'm really excited for week 3. This Thursday you got the Dolphins and the Bills playing on Thursday Night Football, and I'm really excited to see what happens. Josh Allen hopefully have another legacy game, or not legacy game, but another big game for Josh Allen. But gonna move on to our next segment, our NFL Week 3 preview. But let's run through some key games this weekend or like key headlines this weekend coming up. And it's the Texans we're going to get to first. Can the Texans finally win one? I do think yes. They've been close to winning games. They lost to the Rams by 5 and lost to the Bucks last night by 1. I do think they'll finally get that win. But right now, the Texans' offense just doesn't look that good to me. And some things will have to change on the offensive side of things. I think D'Amico Ryans will get it going week 3, and they'll be able to get things going. And I also think Tank Dell, when he comes back, and Christian Kirk, when he comes back, I think that will definitely help this Texans offense get better. And C.J. Stroud will have more weapons. But yeah, and also Joe Mixon as well. But I think the Texans will be able to get it done in week 3 and find some signs of life and be able to get things back on track. And then our next headline, our second headline of the evening, will be: will the Panthers finally see signs of life in week 3 against the Falcons? I do think so. I really think this game will be close. I think the Panthers might win the game because the only thing holding them back, in my opinion, is the Falcons' defense. Last year we saw the Panthers play in Atlanta and actually play really good at the end of the season and win 45-38 in overtime. But I do think that the Panthers will probably they could possibly beat the Falcons if Bryce Young performs like he did in the second half against the Cardinals. But yeah, we'll definitely see if the Panthers can get some signs of life back. But if not, then just the same old Panthers, man. Same old freaking Panthers. And then our last headline of the night, the Lions versus Ravens on Monday Night Football. Game of the week, Lamar versus Jared Goff. I've got Detroit winning this one because it's in Detroit. But I do really think it will be a good game between these two heavyweight teams in the Lions and the Ravens. But I'm really excited to see what these teams can do on Monday Night Football. But yeah, I'm going to take the Lions in this one, and they'll win close in my opinion. But yeah, definitely think Lions and Ravens will be fun. Hopefully Derrick Henry gets me more fantasy points than he did last week. But yeah, I definitely really need that. My team's 1-1 right now, so need to make the playoffs this year. Fantasy didn't. I did make it last year, but lost in the playoffs. But we'll see what happens. But that's gonna do it for episode 21 of the Halftime Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Reese Kinder. Thanks for rocking with me today. We'll be back, next week to break down week 4 of college football, also preview of week 5, and all the NFL madness from Sunday and Monday and Thursday as well. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like down below, and always keep your halftime hot takes, spicy. Your picks just slightly better than mine. Can't go 9-10 to start your first 2 weeks, but yeah, keep them slightly better in mind. And I will see you guys next time.